everybody out there in podcast land. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Get Happy podcast with me, your host, Rudrani Devi. Hey, let's do this, people. So today I am very excited to have the lovely, fabulously gorgeous, potent Zeinah Warrior Attar. Hey, girl, thanks for joining me this morning. How you be?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, I am delighted. I'm so glad you could do this. So would you tell our listeners a little bit about you, who you be, the things you do, all the stuff?
Okay, so my name is Zeinah Attar. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm a lawyer. I have a master's in finance and specialized in trusts and endowments. Worked in pharma for years. And then one day, I'm going to tell you how I access.
Please. I didn't. She's brilliant. See, not only gorgeous for those of you that are actually watching on YouTube, but brilliant. She's a lawyer.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And
Number 20 in Saudi. We didn't have lawyers before my batch. I'm the second batch, so female lawyers.
Wow, I feel honored to have you here. Thank you.
So much.
So you were about to tell us how you found Access Consciousness. What's your story, morning story?
As you know, I have ADHD and diagnosed OCD. So I went to a lot of therapists, a lot of doctors, a lot of gurus, tried meditation here and there, Reiki, Theta, magnets, like where they actually lay you down and practically like beat you with the magnet.
I've done it too. That's so funny. I even had a magnet bed for years that I slept on.
Yeah.
No joke.
And for me, it was like, tell me what to do. I'll do it. I'll do it yesterday. And then they would give me mantras and I would ask, how many times? And so here and there, but I was in a pit of depression. I was so depressed. I had everything this reality had to offer. The perfect son, the perfect husband, even the perfect pets. I had 3 birds and 2 cats, a house, like everything. Everything this reality had to offer, the car, the education, the masters, very highly qualified. And people around me are like, why are you miserable? So years into misery, I had to, I booked a session with some healer and she told me to get off meat and get off
oh, you're muted.
I apologize. They opened the door and I told them to
oh the door. Yes, we do this very organically, people. So there's this thing of children and other people that could pop in at any time, and that's quite all right.
Yeah. So I booked a session. I was off meat from 3 to 7 days. I don't remember how long I was off meat. So when I reached there, already washed my hair with salt, like empty body. So when I reached there, the receptionist looked at me. She was like, didn't they call you? Don't you know? The healer got so sick in the previous session and she left. So then I went to being pathetic. I was so sad for myself that, first of all, I went to a person that is supposedly going to help me find tools and she couldn't carry herself while helping somebody else. So I remember myself as I was leaving the building, I was crying in public. And when I was going down, I had reached a state where one of my friends had told me that she went to the CF, the Amazing Certified Facilitator, Zeinah Attar, and I told her, you know what, give me her number, because what I had heard is that when I went to a session with this lady, instantaneously she felt good.
Oh, wow.
So I called her and I told her, look, and it was at a point in my life where my son had also just been diagnosed with ADHD, and the schooling system had told him to take the pills.
Right.
And
Alcohol and all the things, yeah.
yeah, and my ADHD was not diagnosed. So as a child, it was like, it was always, she moves a lot, she's rude, she's da 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 da. So I called her, I told her, look, can you help me? Yes. She said, yes. I told her, okay, so what are you gonna tell me not to eat? Because like in the past years, I have lived off coconut oil for 3 days. I have lived, everybody gave me something, and I did the work. And everything anyone prescribed, I was by the book. I was a good student, you know?
Wow.
So I went to her, and she did something called the access bars. For any of you who don't know what it is, it's 32 points in the head, when touched slightly. I went to her for pains that I had under my arms, and I had just started to develop water tumors in my chest area.
Oh my goodness.
So when I went there, still I have like a bit of pains under my arm, but my whole reality changed. It's like I'm holding on, like this is what got me to access, so I'm keeping it. I'm
That's so
letting it
funny.
go. So so I went to her, and then when I left the next day, well, I was going to my usual like rounds, first the meetings, and then there's court. So the point where usually my fear, the fear that I called my own, starts, wasn't there. So I said, okay, so this must be a lie, and I'm not gonna tell her. Let me make sure that it, because I figured it's gonna come back.
Of
Let
course.
It's not gonna come back. So at the end of the week, I called her and I booked another session. So
Interesting.
she was like, you need to get to a class. So a couple of $1,000 into the sessions. She's like, okay, I am not source. I would pay her in packages. Like I would pay 5 sessions, 5 sessions. These are my 5 sessions. I'm coming at this time, twice a week. I read all the books. The first thing that I saw was the clearing statement on YouTube. I was looking about access consciousness. So I was asking her, I told her like, okay, so what is access? Like, I've been to not to diss other modalities or not to disrespect them. They work for some people so much so that their contribution, like for like, it's not like we found access and this is the only bag of tools that's available in
The story. Yeah. You
the
use what works for you, and you followed your knowing is what I
yeah,
love. It's like you're going, I'm going to that lady because
yeah,
my person goes to her, so maybe she should be my person. And you know, and then it leads you to the next thing. And I mean, suffice it to say, are you still going to this woman, or
no,
are you
she's my
now?
best friend now.
Oh
And,
wow. That's so cool.
and we facilitate each other by being like, she bees all of herself, I be all of myself, and we're very vulnerable with each other, where if something happens, that like we're willing to look at everything with each other. So she like, in her words, she's like, after I met you, like, did every button of my allowance me, because I was like, what do you mean by this? And then this, and then this, and then this. And I was like, I was reading this book, and then so
Yeah, can I tell a story on you, please, real quick?
yeah, sure.
So we're both certified facilitators of access consciousness now. So you can see now that she has bought the story hook, line, and sinker. But what I'm saying is it following the energy of what works for her. And I remember once saying something to her in one of the CF feeds, and she says, oh, I'm in all of them. I'm not just in the one you're in, because there's different parts of the world, but she's in all of them, always living in the question, always being inquisitive, always asking, it's like this reality tells us that we all should know, what to do or whatever. And we're not afraid to ask, hey, is there somebody out there that can help me with this or explain this, give me a better understanding of this? Not that you buy their story or not. It's just a matter of being willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, I could use some facilitation with this. I could use some help with this. And then being willing to be there for others when they ask the same. And that's how we all have our backs. And that's what I love about Access. And what I love about you is you're so supportive of others. What can I create and generate for you? How can I be a contribution? And you're also willing to ask the questions. So I just wanted to share that with our listeners. We met very quickly on one of the calls where, it was all the boxes. And it started because she asked about my eyes.
Are they real? If they're beautiful, they must not be real.
I was like, what do you mean? Are they my eyes? Do you not see? And I didn't know that she was referring to the color, I guess the color of my eyes or something. I don't remember. And
Wearing contacts. And I want to just add to what Rudwani had just mentioned. Like if you cannot see something that you cannot see something that you're not. So if you see it, you are it. So
true.
And thank you for that, by the way. So yeah.
It was I didn't mean to cut you off. And I know that's not a nice thing to do with somebody who has ADHD, speaking from someone who has ADHD. But here it is now. This is how you found Access, was because of this lady. Was she already in Access?
She was already in Access. She had, it was just before her CF training. She was in Access 4 years before. And then she was telling me that you need to get to a class, nothing like, for a character like you, take the CF. And then 8 months later, I was a CF. And I had, I took the first, I was with her in private sessions for 2 months or 2 months and a half. And then I took my first boards class in January. And then I got my certified facilitator's license in October last year. It was during the time my dad passed. So it was with the quarantine. I was taking classes between the hospital and my mom's house. So I wasn't living in one location. But for me, it's not that I'm saying that, okay, so now I have it right. No, what I'm saying is when nobody has ever told me, what do you know? I have my upbringing was, why did you make that choice? What's your reason and justification for having chosen that? It's not that they didn't care, but for example, I did something amazing. Okay, so how did you get there? Say, for example, I did something that didn't fit the status quo of what I should be doing, like not getting a B or a C, or and the A+ was the target or the goal in my household. So my GPA was always 99.999 from 100 because they couldn't give you 100. So
wow,
this is the target. So I remember when I got a B+, I remember the moment when I decided that all of my choices must have reason and justification. And I'm a happy person, even though we've been through a lot of school abuse, where the school that I was in, if my hair was like this, then to pay for the pins, and then the teacher would pull your hair back, so it was not comfortable. And then you would get minus in your performance or manners if you didn't walk a certain way. So I had been put in the best school according to this reality of that time, that didn't work with ADHD. Getting the top grades still. So deep inside, I was happy, but laughter wasn't something that was accepted. Like, if you're going to be a proper, refined woman, you can't be inappropriate. And I'm very inappropriate. I
Right.
love the inappropriate. I love the ha ha ha, the
Right.
laughter that's loud. It's beautiful.
And imagine what it's like in Saudi Arabia if you have to suppress your happy.
Not
Yeah.
everywhere.
Not
Not
everywhere. Not in your home.
no, really, not everywhere. Because my dad at some point spoke with my mother, and he's like, "This school is not going to work. I want you to take her to another school." So we give each school like the truth of it. The other school was focused on the personality of a student.
Oh, I see.
So that school, we had drama club, we had laughter, we had a thinking class that was education on laughter. So it was that school to another school. It was such a move in my life to live that and that.
Mhm.
So forward 12 years, mother seeing a son going through what she went through. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And my brother is diagnosed with ADHD, but his ADHD is severe. So he
Oh.
needs to live on concerta in the school days. And so mine, it was like, I couldn't even complain because I saw him suffering.
Well,
I
it's
couldn't.
interesting because Dr. Dane here, who is the co-founder of Access Consciousness, he always says I have ADHD, ADD, and OCD all rolled into one. And yet in Access, we consider it a superpower, and it's for
And
the first time we're being told we're not wrong for it. I mean, for me, I'm very pragmatic in my ADHD. I have everything is, if you were to come to my house, which one day, I don't know, could happen.
one day I will. I
And
will.
it's like you open my closet and everything's in color order. The jeans are here, the workout clothes are here, all the jackets are there. My hooker clothes are here. My hooker clothes are my stage clothes, by the way. And and I have a sneaker closet, and in the kitchen, if you open the cabinets, it's the same kind of thing. And I created it that way. I had to have order so that I could be as chaotic as my true nature is, where I never know from day to day what I'm doing, where I'm going. It's like with us, we spoke 5 minutes before we decided to do this conversation, although
Schedule. I have a packed schedule.
yeah,
You're busy. I'm busy. It doesn't mean, like, for a lot of people, I'm rude. Why are you busy all the time? And I'm sure you get the same. For a lot of people, I'm sure you're rude because you're busy all the time. But
my
for
mother
us,
always says, do you have a minute, before she asks me anything.
yeah.
She lives with me. Do you have a minute? Can you talk? Can we talk right now? It's just so funny, but it's true. Misconceptions. We're just
And
busy.
it is. So after I came to Access, I had this misconception that showing happiness is rude.
Oh my.
So I had misidentified and misapplied my natural happy state as rude. It's like, I'm so inappropriate, so rude, da, 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 and all what I was just happy. So
Shame on you. How dare you be happy? Look around you. Look at the world. How many happy people do you know personally, besides me and maybe a few other people in Access? Just
I
get
do
the energy
know.
of that.
Yeah, but it took a minute. It took a minute. Very few people.
Yeah.
My husband's happy, my son's happy. Because I can't live with miserable people.
Same. I lived in the same household with miserable people. That was something I want to say, because they created it, that they enjoyed. I'm always like, what do you love about your misery? And my sense is they don't know they can choose something else. Or if
I
I
want to
choose
say
to be
something
happy,
here.
what's that, honey?
I want to say something here that
Oh,
might tick off a few people.
it's okay.
So even the miserable people are happy with their choices, or they wouldn't be choosing it.
Yes.
So it's like, my interesting point of view is nobody's unhappy. Nobody's miserable. If you're miserable, you're gonna find something to do about it. It's like you can't. But and this is something that's like, before access, before I was comfortable speaking my points of view without really caring whether I'm received or not, it allowed many people, like I receive on the Instagram chat, to contact me, and they're like, you know what? Today from your video, I didn't care what people thought of me. And then when I see that, it's like, because we're so outside the box, like you're so outside the box. I see you on Facebook. I'm so outside the box. It's like, and it's nobody's wrong, nobody's right. But for me, like, I always say, like, you know how some people can live off cornflakes and chips and popcorn, and then they're very slim and beautiful, and so there's no right way to live. If you're breathing, and you're alive, you're breathing right. If you're eating and you're alive, you're eating right. So there's no such thing as like you're doing it wrong. And at some point before access, I remember the facilitator class, Tomas, I had taken a fund with her before my
Oh,
training.
I love Cass.
So I was asking her about breathing because I don't know if you know, there's one method of yoga where you put your tongue in the behind and then you breathe a certain way. So I was breathing wrong according to
Pranayama yoga or something like that. It's
something
Ayurvedic.
like that.
Yeah.
And so I think Kriya. So I was wrong. Anyway, I was
Oh.
breathing it wrong for years. And then and then my old school had signed us all up for a breathing class. So I felt more wrong after the breathing class. I didn't think I had a problem before the breathing class. So you
Wow.
know
You
how,
are a good student. They say you're breathing wrong. You're okay. Show me how to breathe right. That's so fun.
okay, I am breathing wrong. If somebody told me you're wrong, I was like, yes, that's me. I'm doing it wrong. They're like, and like treating
Tell
it
me
as
what
if
to
they're my,
do.
tell me, like, I'll do it.
Right.
So it was like, for me, and then I mastered judging me. It's like, so I'm gonna judge me smart. I'm gonna judge me better than anyone else, so I can create the future that I desire. Nothing happened. I didn't create the future.
If you all think we're a bunch of happy idiots, you're right.
Can you be happy and not an idiot? No,
Oh my goddess.
you can't. Can you?
Can I?
You can't. Because if you're laughing, you must be an idiot.
Yeah.
What's so funny? It's, look, in my interesting point of view, like I see some people, like, you know how maturity is, like when you get mature is as if the madder you get, the more mature you become. The angrier you get, the more experienced you are. So no, that's not for me. Never has been. Never
Yeah,
worked.
I mean, the older I get, if I can put it in these terms, the less I align and agree or resist and react. I'm in a space of now, what's going to create for me, even if it looks crazy to the rest of the world. I don't care what anybody thinks. And it's not from a place of, well, I don't care what you think. It's a place of, you're entitled to your point of view. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your judgment. I'm just following my knowing and what works for me, and I used to have such a point of view about how I was in the world, how I would be received, being appropriate, being politically correct, and all the things. And and I used to push a lot of buttons on purpose. Now, if I push a button, I'm like a marshmallow because I don't have a point of view behind it. It's like, I'm just being me. And if it doesn't work for you, I'm okay if we're not friends. I'm willing to leave everybody behind, because the opposite of that is me cutting my arms and legs off to fit in to what everybody else or what this reality deems is appropriate. And that's actually not appropriate for me. It's not me allowing myself to be me. It's not having those 5 elements of intimacy with me, which we've talked about quite a bit just in our conversations.
Yeah. And what you're talking about right now brings up something for me. Like most of my life, like when you're speaking, I'm moving, I'm present with you. The most thing that I had difficulty with before Access was not knowing the difference between focus and presence, because focus is a lot of strain on at least my head. So I can't focus with you. No, that will never happen, because when I focus with you, I do not hear what you have to say. I'm not with you. But when I'm everywhere in the room, when I'm comfortable, it's like, focus, come back here, come back. No, why do I have to come back here?
You guys,
So
just for a moment, just feel the difference between focus, which is something that you have to do, or, versus presence, which is just something you be. And
yeah.
allow yourself, just tell your body to pull the walls and barriers down and expand out, and notice how much more present you be and how easy that is. We think it's hard to be present.
And one of the misconceptions of like our reality, how many people have been brought up, is if you're happy, what are you on? So you hide the happiness. Like we have a saying in Saudi, this saying, I think it's amazing. I'll say it in Arabic, then I'll say what it is in English. ما حد داري عنك يلي في الظلام بتغمز. Nobody knows what you're doing. You, the person in the dark that's blinking. Imagine a person in the dark is blinking. So you're not the center of the universe. Nobody cares what you're doing.
Right.
Nobody's with you. Nobody's concentrating. Everybody is so engulfed in themselves. Like for me, the way I do it with my son, I tell him, look, nobody wants to purposefully come and like piss you off. They think they're being right.
Mm-hmm.
Let them and do whatever you want.
Gosh, just for a moment, you guys, what mother tells her children to do whatever they like, regardless of what they're being impaled with? That is a very different way of being, and what would it take to choose that? Because you can choose that as well. You don't have to be the effect of what others are impaling upon you. It's just a choice. You can
I'm gonna say something, but hopefully none of my hopefully my family doesn't see this. So I'm gonna say something here. Okay. So one of the things like with kids, and my point of view, the thought went, so give me a second to
You're okay, girl.
what I was gonna say. So one of the things like with my kid and with having him in my life, and just one of the things that are very important for me as a mother is I tell him, like, look, if the school calls me and tells me you did something that's wrong, I'm not going to be angry. But what's going to piss me off is you didn't talk your way out of it. Like, you know the keys of each person. So one of the most like empowering the child to speak, to create greater for himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're gonna have fun. Just like talk your way out of it. Maybe don't get caught. So
right. That's so funny.
So it's
I
Because
love that
what
you
are
don't
they
make
gonna,
him wrong. You don't make him wrong, even if the teacher is making him wrong. I love that.
especially if the teacher is making him wrong? Because like what's considered wrong for like a fifth grader? Like what? Really nothing. Like nothing we haven't done. So that. And just my interesting point of view is happiness is not fireworks and somebody waiting for you at the patio when you come back home and say, "Yay, this day, you were so great." That's cheering, okay? So, like, uh, stop cheering yourself. Just stop, like, just be like the general state of a human being, if you're being, is happiness.
Yeah, that's true. If you
Anything
wake
else?
up and, Dr. Dane says this, if you're not waking up and with the exuberance and joy of being alive, then you are not being you. Who are you being? Are you emulating all those around you? Or are you on some level, maybe a little psychic and picking up on the energies of people around you that are, cranky pants or whatever it is? But our
And I
true,
tell my son, I
yeah.
tell him, like, do you know the telephone? The telephone, how the old in like the 60s, the stands that uh, it's like an antenna, we call an Arabic antenna, where it sends out signal.
Are you implying that I am old enough to know about the 60s and the telephones and the
You
I know
are,
you're a warrior. Yes, I've seen them on TV shows, old TV shows. I know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
So, like, I tell him, your body is that antenna, but it doesn't uh like send signal out, because like us, like the way, like me, you, my son, the way we function, the way we are, we don't send we don't criticize people, we just receive the criticism, we receive the junk. I
Yeah.
tell him, you're like an antenna, so anything that's pissing you off and is coming in, you're just aware. Like, and I had at some point people were talking to me about like on social and the WhatsApp, and just like going up, like okay, so how do you get to being comfortable? How do you get to being happy? You don't. You are. You
Yeah.
can't get, like, it's not a destination. It's not, you're not going anywhere. Like, what if, like, I don't know, like,
Well, it's choice.
mm,
People say, how are you so happy all the time? And I said, well, it beats the other spectrum. People don't realize they can actually choose it. And it can be little steps. Maybe for so long you've been impaled or entrained to believe that happiness wasn't your right. As
or
you,
happiness looks like something.
sure.
Like, it doesn't. Like, okay, so you see this makeup I have here? So when I cry, I bring the eyeliner and I make it here. So I go in front of the mirror and I watch it up and I wear, and I bring my coffee and I make it stay with myself. So
Beautiful.
you can be happy while you're crying.
That's usually why I cry, is because I'll use the word overwhelm. It's just my body being joyful. I probably crank out a few tears on the daily. If I see, it's like yesterday, this is going to sound so stupid. I saw the smallest squirrel I have ever seen in my life. It was maybe the length of my finger, not including the tail. And it was on the bird feeder. It's so tiny, it's not tripping the bird feeder. And my cat's going, and I started perceiving the energy of this squirrel that doesn't know it's supposed to be scared of me or the cat. And I got all the way up to the glass. I'm maybe a foot and a half away from it, and we're communicating. And it was such a joyous thing. And then all of a sudden I had these tears coming down my face. I'm
Wow.
like, wow, my face is leaking. What's going
Yeah.
on?
2 minutes because I have class in 2 minutes.
Okay. So that's the end of this podcast. Well, okay. So honey, where
Hmm.
could people find you if they
Okay, so
wanted to?
there's my website, and I have 2 Instagrams. I have the Arabic one, and the English one. We opened it. Assistant is like, you should have an English Instagram account, and I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Good job.
So,
So share all
um,
the links with me and I'll make sure that they're there where everybody can find you with ease.
okay.
And
And
thank
thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate like being here with you, getting to talk about being happy. And just, I'm gonna acknowledge you for having happiness conversation.
Oh, I appreciate you taking the time out of your extremely busy schedule, literally in the last minute.
Yeah.
And if you guys liked this conversation as much as we did, perhaps you could, subscribe, hit the like button below, and share with those that you think this could be a contribution for, and we do appreciate you stopping by. So until next time, you guys, ciao,
Thank
ciao
you
for
so
now.
much for joining.
Thank you, Zeinah. Ciao, ciao.